Hello, hello, hello. Good morning and welcome. You are on the mountain with Rick, and it is time for some Splinterlands. But first, coffee. Lifeblood of the gods. How y'all doing out there in Twitchland tonight? Thank you so much, Commander Bawang, for that highly entertaining stream. I'm guessing y'all were diving into the lore. Came in a little bit late, so I'm not entirely sure what the story was that we were actually looking at, but it sounded like y'all was having a grand old time. We're gonna change things up a little bit and get back into the game proper, taking a dive into this roadmap. We're going to look at this governance proposal. We're going to look at one that has been put forth by a community member already. And yeah, we're going to have some fun with that. What's good, Slow Carls? Walk the grid. I almost said walk the by. What's good, Bawang, Jobby Saints, Tapioca. I saw Prime Rogue out there as well. Bootops, Howie. How y'all doing? What is good? What is good? What is good? Alrighty, so things are starting to look a lot more defined for this year. I'm a big fan of some of this. I'm less of a fan of some of it as well. Okay, we don't need to be that big now. Come on. There we go. Let's go ahead and just make that a bit larger, maybe easier for y'all to see. What's good? Walk the grid. Why is this not? Okay, I am live. It was paused for a minute there. I was like, wait, am I actually going or what? I can't see my own screen. Yeah, I got you, Commander. You're good. I appreciate you even wanting to, but I understand real life stuff gets in the way. You got to do what you got to do, bro. So go ahead and get her done. You are good. I will take it from here. We got DEC batteries. Well, we already know about that. Vote no on DECB because it is going to come to a vote again because they're going to want to do more of them, and it's going to be just as bad as this time, maybe even worse. Maybe they change the price or something. And maybe they don't allow vouchers, so maybe that'll actually make it better. But, this is... I'm not going to say what I truly feel about it, but it's not good for the ecosystem. We got season rentals. Y'all may or may not have noticed during the town hall, I actually asked my first question ever of the team, and it was relating to the season rentals because I have heard so many people expressing a little bit of fear about not being able to do short-term rentals anymore, and they did confirm that this will be an addition and not a replacement. So we'll still have our 2-day rentals, and we will also have season rentals. So I feel like that is going to be a net positive addition. I'm very excited about the ability to rent a card for an entire season and not have to worry about it being canceled. That sounds like something I'm very much looking forward to. We got quality of life additions coming in, like grouping additions by set. That is a relatively minor thing with relatively major implications. I am a big fan of that. Something that should have been done a long time ago, in all honesty. Honestly, it should have been, it should have been set that way from the beginning. Hindsight, of course, is 2020, but I do feel like this is something that could have been done last year, early last year, maybe halfway through last year, but we're finally getting it, and now you're going to be able to play your Lux Vegas and your Rooney in their proper phrase and tournaments, so that's going to be nice, as well as all promo and reward cards being broken down by their set associations, which is going to be super helpful for a lot of players. SPS validators, going to have internally live validator nodes, and they're going to introduce SPS delegation, aka player staking, and that will be introduced here in Q1, so within the next 2.5 months. And I am excited about that, but what I don't see listed here with this is the part of it that the community has actually been asking about that I have been asking about, and that is the staking requirements for rewards earning, which I understand that is still somewhat in flux as to exactly how it's going to work, but that's the part of this that is actually necessary. Like, the player staking is nice, but what we really need is the staking requirements, and that's how we can stop making all of these rewards changes and continuously affecting how the game actually works, because that's how we deal with the problem of people who accounts, shall we say, not necessarily people, because y'all know what I mean, that are extracting value without adding any value. And that is the answer that we need, not soulbound reward cards, not continuous changes to the reward structure, etc., etc., etc. But I don't see that on here, and that is unfortunate, because I don't believe that we actually needed this stuff for that to happen. I mean, we already have the infrastructure in place for minimum SPS staking on tournaments. It would have been fairly easy to just flip that switch for rewards as well, but they were telling us that this is what we were waiting on. Was in order for staking requirements, we were waiting on player staking, and in order for player staking, we were waiting on the nodes to be active. So I never understood why those had to be linked to begin with, but now we're seeing the baby steps, I guess. Land, we have already seen sneak previews of the land market. Which cool. The interactive map view. Saw Nate on the town hall being very excited talking about that, which also cool. Surveying is going to be alright, because that's going to be a nice little burn of DEC for the potions, etc. And excited to see that actually coming to fruition. But we also know that that's not going to be enough of a DEC burn to actively... not to actively, but to activate the flywheel, because that will be a total. If every single land is, they use a potion to survey it when it is, surveyed, that is going to be a 1.5 billion DEC burn, which is nowhere near what we need to actually get where we're going. But at least it's a step in the right direction, and at least it's not, inflation mechanic disguised as burning. It's actual burning. We're gonna have some new cards, of course, introducing new soulbound reward cards, which, well, y'all know how I feel about that one. And the first of the quarterly promo card sales, which I am excited about that. We'll see exactly what form that takes. Hopefully it is burning DEC, maybe with some combination of vouchers and or SPS as well. Personally, I hope it is not SPS. Let it be, X amount of DEC and one voucher per one BCX of the card. I feel like that would be good. Or if it's higher rarity, maybe even more vouchers. That could definitely be something that would work out well. And hey, maybe even make that promo card soulbound rather than changing our reward cards to being soulbound. I don't know. It's too late for that argument. But maybe not in the long run. Maybe so that's something that can be revisited after we have that staking requirements, because that's, again, is the actual solution that we're looking for there, I feel, at least. Next up, we got some changes to ranked battle. We're going to have some new rule sets. I'm always a fan of new rule sets, adding complexity to the game. I'm not a fan of one of them, the aimless rule set that was alluded to on the town hall, giving everybody scattershot. Y'all know how I feel about that aspect of Yasik, and so that one particular rule set is going to be my least favorite, just because, y'all know my RNG as well. So, not a big fan of that, but, I don't hate it as an actual rule set. I'm just going to hate playing it. League rating point change. I'm not 100% sure what this is actually referring to. We'll see further down the roadmap. Next quarter, they're looking at SPS staking requirements for league changes. So I'm not sure what this is actually going to be, but we shall see. And then 3 rule sets per battle. Again, that was alluded to on the town hall without much in the way of specifics. So I'm imagining that it's going to kind of follow the same way that it does currently. Novice has 0 rule sets, Bronze has 1, Silver has 2. I imagine that 3rd will probably be added into Gold, Diamond, and Champion, and not below. Maybe. I could very well be wrong on that. We'll see. I wouldn't mind if it was like Novice is 1, Bronze is 2, Silver is 3. I feel like that would definitely give new players who are entering in a better feel for the game starting out, because Novice with no rule sets, well, we know that that's kind of boring. Boring, yeah, that's the word I was looking for. The rule sets are what make this game what it is. So I like seeing more rule sets being added in. I like seeing more rule sets being added in per battle, and I feel like that is also another way to kind of counteract the bots, at least for a little while. Naturally, you know, they will over time figure out, you know, the best lineups for all of the new rule sets as well, for the multiple combinations, but it gives them a hurdle. And I feel like that's a hurdle that is also going to affect players, but in a good way. It's going to, you know, make the game exciting and make strategizing fun again. Quarter 2, we're looking at some changes to the market, SPS delegation rental markets. So that is going to be interesting. I'm intrigued to see how that's going to work. And so I guess you're going to be able to rent out SPS via delegation. And that was something, in all honesty, I had not even thought about. Like, and when I saw it on here, that finally got the gears turning in my head. But could be an interesting way to make some additional rewards off of your SPS, particularly once, you know, for those of us who have enough SPS and then have, you know, especially those who have more, then, you know, the diminishing returns for the amount of rewards that you're earning based on your staked SPS. There could be a way to offset that and in the same time help out the larger community for those who do have like hundreds of thousands of SPS. So we'll see exactly what form that takes, how profitable it is, but it's definitely an interesting thought, and I'm not terribly upset to see it. And card bundles, we know we've heard Aggie talking about that for quite a while now, and I'm interested to see how that actually works. We'll see. Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be okay. It doesn't... I mean, my biggest pushback on most of this is still the whole when land thing. Like, there's a lot of things here that are cool and are interesting, but what we really need is to fix the economy. And the only thing that's going to do that is a continuous source of burning. In small amounts, but happening all the time. And that is going to come with land, and not land phase 2, but with actual land gameplay. And so there's still a whole bunch of things here that I feel like they're cool and they're nifty and I like to see them, but they're things that we don't necessarily need to have before land gameplay. And so and I understand that, you know, they can only do so much on any one thing at one time. I understand that land is still a ways off because of the amount of work to be done. But this is a lot of work that is being done on not land. Also, next quarter, we're going to see Ranked Battle replace CP requirements with SPS staking. Intrigued to see what kind of numbers those are going to be. But they have been talking about getting rid of card power as a league measurement for a while, and I'm okay with that. It doesn't really seem to be doing the job, and it seems to lead to some weird gameplay mechanics like renting out just X amount of power with the cheapest cards possible. And it also leads to single BCX being more desirable than it necessarily should be. Which I think that this could have a kind of knock-on effect of helping rental prices, not necessarily helping rental prices, but helping to incentivize combining cards. So it'll help prices for higher level cards. It'll probably actually hurt rental prices at the outset, but it'll help the economy overall. Probably. I'm not 100% sure on that one. SPS Validators Q2, we will see governance player proposals, which we will take a little bit of a look at that here shortly after we finish this. And SPS Validator Nodes Testnet Live. Again, I don't have any nodes, and I'm not a Mav, so I'm not sure how that's going to work necessarily, but it's a step in the right direction. I understand that there are facets that nodes have to go through as well. And that is something that I am excited to see happen. New players. First time that we have seen this on the roadmap, as far as I know, ever. As long as I've been here, I've heard it occasionally mentioned, but I've never seen it on any kind of roadmap. Until now, we have an improved tutorial, which, awesome. Glad to see that. And then we have one-click set rentals, which I'm excited for the possibility of that. I think we all know it's not actually going to be one-click, because you're going to have to, agree to prices. You're going to have to sign the transactions. You're going to have to set up how long you're looking to rent the cards, blah, blah, blah. So I'm excited for it, although I think that we need a little bit of a more honest name, because I think we all know it's not actually going to be one click, but that's just quibbling over semantics. Once again, we will see a quarterly promo card sale, and that's... hopefully, that's going to be good cards. They're going to be desirable, and they're going to burn the proceeds. At least some of them. I understand that the team should, get some of the proceeds as well. They're obviously putting money into making it happen by paying for the devs and the design for the card and everything like that. But I'm only in favor of this quarterly promo card sale if parts of it are getting burned, because otherwise we're just shuffling DEC around, pushing it back to the team, and there needs to be more DEC burned. There needs to be more ways that DEC gets burned. Otherwise, it's going to just continue to flounder. We're going to get Rooney combining, which that's obviously something that doesn't necessarily affect me individually. I still don't have a Rooney, and I'm probably not going to be getting one anytime soon. Unfortunately, I would still love to. It's still definitely on the list, but finances are not there for that. And then, sorry. Guild alliances. Another one of those things that I feel like this could happen after land, but I am excited because that will be another DEC burn, another kind of minor one, because it's not like, there's going to be 100 billion DEC burned immediately, as those buildings are going to, I imagine at least, take some time to level up. I am excited to see the specifics on exactly how that's going to work. But naturally, being a part of TNA, shout out to Jim, my guild leader, and Dwayne, our guild alliance leader. And we've got 10 guilds under the TNA banner, so I am excited to see how the guild alliance is going to actually work. And then quarter 3, we're having land phase 2, so we'll be able to start building, which will be good. We'll be going to... You see nothing attractive for a new player? Improved tutorial is definitely something helpful, I feel. The new cards, the season rentals, grouping additions by set, making it easier for new players to know what's what. I do see a bunch here that is attractive for new players, but I can agree to disagree on that. Quarter 3, we're looking at land phase 2. Also, steps towards fixing the economy are attractive for new players. And land phase 2 is one of those because there will be a bunch of DEC going into buildings. But again, that's one-time things. Those buildings are going to require. And yes, they have mentioned that there will be some kind of maintenance fees associated with them down the road. But I feel like that will also be part of land actual gameplay, not part of just the building. So another burn and step in the right direction, but not gonna actually engage the flywheel, in my opinion. New cards in quarter 3. We will be looking at Rebellion at some point. We know that it would not be before July 1st, but they have not given us a July 1st date of official. That's when it will happen. That's just the earliest that it could happen, and we will find out more as we get closer. I am excited for Rebellion. I am hopeful, but I'm also kind of leery. I feel like there is some rampant hopium surrounding Rebellion being what will save the game. I don't feel like Rebellion can save the game. I'm excited for new cards. That's what I'm excited for, and I'm very excited for it, but that's where the excitement ends. For old players, staking I think is okay. SPS staking could kill new player interest. Depends on exactly how it's done. I mean, if it's reasonable, then I feel like it could be okay, but it is what we need in order to stave off the bot problem. So, I mean, I do understand that there are many, many nuances to that issue, and I don't pretend to have, a 100% understanding of exactly, number one, how they plan to implement it, because they don't even have that yet. But also, I don't pretend to have a full and complete understanding of exactly how it is going to affect the economy and the game itself. But I think that overall it is going to be a net positive. I'm also not denying that it will have some negative aspects to it, as pretty much anything else does. And then skins and cosmetics. I mean, some people care about this. I'm not one of them. But overall, I feel like there are, again, some things that are happening faster than they necessarily need to, but it is good to see that they are pushing forward and starting to really focus on delivering on their promises. So, my biggest thing again is staking requirements and land. Those are the two things that we've been waiting on for years, and they're the kind of the basis of the economy, and the lack of them is what has screwed up the economy. And that should have been done last year. There's no reason why we should still be asking when land, and I don't even own any land. I'm not here, saying that because I'm gonna personally benefit from it. No, I'm here because, and I'm on that horse because that's what the economy was built around, and not having it is the reason why the economy is floundering the way it is. But on to the next. But first, coffee. I got some triple chocolate coffee. It's tasty. All right, SPS governance community proposals. Way to English there, Rick. V1. Now, notice that this is from Splinterlands and not the SPS DAO. This is not actually a proposal. This is just an idea. While currently, and this is a cold read, I have heard a little bit of discussion regarding this, but I have not actually looked into it yet. So we have fresh eyes on this. Y'all are getting live reaction from me. While currently the Splinterlands company is the only one able to submit proposals for official SPS stakeholder voting, eventually the goal is to open that up to anyone once we can ensure that it can be handled in an orderly and organized manner. Until the full community proposal system can be developed, we would like to try out a simpler, informal version that will allow the community to begin putting forth their proposals for consideration for a formal governance vote. The process that we will be trying out for community proposals is described below. As soon as this post is published, community members may begin submitting proposals following the steps below for consideration. Step 1. Transfer 100,000 DEC tokens to Null from the same account that will be publishing the proposal post, and note the Hive blockchain transaction ID of the transfer, which can be found on hiveblocks.com and will be added to the currency activity page on the Splinterlands website shortly. Publish a post on the Hive blockchain detailing the proposal and include the Hive blockchain transaction with the DEC payment as the very first line in the post. Step 3, tag the post with hashtag SPS proposal. Stakeholders can upvote the post if they support the proposal, or downvote the post if they do not support the proposal. After 7 days, when the voting period ends for the Hive blockchain posts, the Splinterlands team will calculate the total staked SPS held by all users who upvoted the proposal post and all users who downvoted the proposal post. If the total of the staked SPS in the accounts that upvoted or downvoted the post is at least 5% of the total staked SPS in the system, roughly 473 million currently, at least 66. That's 50%. That's 50%. So I'm thinking that is a typo, because that would make more sense for it to be 50% at 473 million than 5% at 47.3 million. And at least 66% of those were upvotes, and the proposal meets other guidelines described below. Then the proposal will move to an official vote and be published on the proposals page of the Splinterlands website. Okay, no, 473 million is the currently staked total. Gotcha. No, you're right. You're right. So it would be, needs to get at least, but it should be, 5% seems like an awfully low bar. 5% seems like an awfully low bar. But you are right. The 473 is the amount, the total amount of staked SPS. Actually, according to my figures, it's 476. So either a lot just got unstaked, or anyways, we'll see. The 100k DEC fee for submitting proposals is necessary to avoid spam and to help ensure that proposals are serious and worth the time to read and consider. The fee may be adjusted either up or down in the future if agreed by the community via proposal vote. Please note that this fee will not be refunded for any reason. The fee is burned and is not sent to any wallet address from which it can be recovered. Please think carefully before submitting a proposal and paying the fee. Proposal guidelines. The SPS DAO, comprised of staked SPS token holders, has complete control over SPS, voucher, and license tokens. For everything else, the community may still propose changes, but it is ultimately up to the Splinterlands team whether or not to put those community proposals up for official voting, regardless of the outcome of the informal voting via upvotes and downvotes on the post. Additionally, proposals must contain all of the details necessary for implementation in order to be considered for an official vote. Vague or unclear proposals will not be accepted, as it won't be clear what exactly stakeholders are voting for and won't be able to ensure that we can actually implement it correctly. During this informal voting period, the author may make edits to the proposal post to clarify things or make changes to some of the smaller proposal details requested by the community. If a proposal requires very significant edits that fundamentally alter the concept being proposed, there should instead be made as an entirely new proposal, which also means paying the fee again. Proposals should be well thought out and detailed before posting, and the edit feature should not be a way to sneak additional items in without paying the fee again. I agree on that portion, although TCB. Also, if we select that edits have been made at the last minute or in any way to attempt to trick the stakeholders, the proposal will not continue to formal voting and the fee will not be refunded. A full history of all edits to the post are always available on the Hive blockchain, so it is not possible to hide changes. Similarly, proposals should focus on one concept or change each. A group of changes that all work together towards a single goal is fine, but any proposal that appears to contain multiple unrelated changes as a way to attempt to squeeze multiple things under one proposal fee will not be approved to move to formal voting. Like the very first proposals that came out and tying the usher to whatever it was tied to. I don't even remember. It was so far long ago. Similarly, proposals should focus on... Okay, we just did that. Finally, please keep in mind that the Splinterlands team will still be in control of timing and resources necessary for implementing the changes from any approved proposals. We have an extremely full roadmap and will do our best to slot in any new proposal projects that come up as quickly and as reasonably as possible. It will also be possible for the community to vote for DAO funds to be spent to hire third-party developers to build certain features that can be done independently of the Splinterlands team. The Splinterlands team looks forward to more third-party development in the ecosystem and would be happy to help with such projects when and where we are able. Man, my throat is just on mutiny today. Third-party community proposals website. The Splinterlands team would like to create a simple website/tool that allows the community to view all of the Hive posts with the hashtag SPS proposal tag that are available for informal voting, and then that shows the total staked SPS voting for and against it so that the community can easily see the current status of any community proposals over the 7-day informal voting period. That being said, we currently have a lot on our plate and may not be able to get to that for some time. In the meantime, if any third-party developers would like to take a shot at building such a tool, please reach out and we would be happy to provide any help we can. All of the necessary information should be publicly available and accessible. I think that is directed at Axler Twinblade. We all know he is... I cannot read that on Splinterlands TV, Prime Rogue. All of the okay, yeah, that Axler is a great guy, and he's an awesome coder, and I feel like he is the one that's probably aimed at. Maybe not directly, but at least like a French fart from the top of a castle, you know, in that general direction. Moving forward, we are very excited to start experimenting with the system for community proposals, and we look forward to being able to vote on ideas from the community in a more organized and formal way than we have been able to in the past. Please keep in mind that this is just a first attempt at doing something like this, and we expect there to be some issues and hiccups as we first get it going. We plan to work with the community to make any necessary changes and adjustments to the process, and ultimately, we plan to use the learnings from this in building out a full, formalized community proposal system which no longer needs any input or gatekeeping from the Splinterlands organization. Additionally, we would like to note that any proposals coming from the Splinterlands company will also be done through this new system, and they will be treated no differently than proposals created by anyone else. Yeah, no, you can say what you want. You can say what you want. I just can't, repeat certain things. But I agree. It does have some problems. I would like to hear what your issues are actually expounded. Thank you. I do a lot of reading and try and be concise. But if you would like to, I think you have already gotten. Oh, it's all a power grab. It's all whale games. I understand that. There's really no way around that. I mean, that's just how capitalism works, unfortunately. It's either the team that's in charge of it or it's the whales that's in charge of it, and there's really no kind of way around that I can see, at least. But if you would like to further discuss, I believe that you have I mean, I don't have much experience with DAOs, so I'm not going to provide an argument or whatnot, but I will invite you on if you would like. Hop into my Discord. I'm already in the voice channel. Just hop in, state your name, and we can have a conversation. We got almost an hour and a half left on this stream, so I would definitely. You do have to keep the language clean, and remember that this is a Splinterlands TV channel. But let me get you that link real quick. Actually, what's your Discord? I'll just send you an invite. Morning, Boss Rondon. How are you doing today, sir? And hey, Rondon, if you want to hop in, if you've got a few minutes, invite has been sent to you. Like I said, live in my voice channel. You are more than welcome to join as well. Yes, I did. Friends. Add friend. B Doggo. Howdy, boss.
Hey, Rick, how you doing?
Pretty good, and yourself?
Hey, doing all right. Let me just get my settings set up here. Okay. Can you hear me okay? Am I coming through on the stream all right?
I hear you great. How does he sound to the audience?
So yeah, what Prime Rogue is saying here in the audience, is actually kind of it's sadly kind of a typical experience with DAOs. DAOs have routinely and historically kind of just been a slush fund for very few interests, and it's kind of it's one of those things where you need to understand that and recognize that if you want to build your own DAO, it's not something to take lightly. Put it that way. Sorry, I'm just waking up here. I'm trying to get my bearings and get my coffee in me and all that. So
yeah, I fully understand. But first, coffee.
They're saying I'm a little bit lower than you.
Yeah, I just turned it up, so it should
Okay.
be better now. Howdy, Bootops, Elephantium. What's good? What's good? Prime Rogue, accept the friend request and then I can invite you.
But anyway, there is, there is a pretty good DAO going on Hive. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah. So Hive, the base blockchain that Splinterlands runs on, has its own DAO. It's called the DHF. Maybe you heard of it that way. The decentralized Hive Fund, and it's where many of the nodes. Like, do you use Deathwing's node?
No.
Okay, I mean, but there's several nodes. There's a lot of infrastructure, like the image hosting for your blogs, the several nodes, and a lot of different stuff like that is funded through the DHF. And if you actually, I'll pull up a link for you and the audience to check it out. Let's see here. We'll go here. So the development of the blockchain, the development of the blockchain, the infrastructure that runs it, the things like Keychain, PeakD has a lot of stuff on there. There's some other different little pet projects that there's a Hive Watchers who basically gets funded to stop spam and stop a bunch of different abuse of the blogging feature on Hive. Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff there. But a lot of people don't know about it. But this is a core feature of the Hive blockchain, and it works pretty well. I will say there's a lot of stuff on there like why is that getting funded? But that's the beauty of it, is there's not one person that's deciding who gets funded and who doesn't. It's the people with the most to lose that gets to decide, right? Like, if you have a huge stake in Hive, then you have a vested interest in the future of Hive. And if you vote for a bunch of stuff that actually makes Hive lose value, lose community members, lose anything like that, then you're actually voting to make your stake worth less. So the incentives align, in theory.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand that concept, and it's very similar to, the SPS voting and whatnot, but my kind of bigger issue with that, and this is, I feel like, where Prime Rogue is also coming from, is that people are stupid. And people vote for things without fully, considering the implications. And then even if people do fully, attempt to, do a deep dive, and there might still be unintended consequences and whatnot. And of course, that is going to be a problem, whether it's, one person at the top being stupid and making decisions, or whether it's everybody collectively being stupid and making decisions. So no matter how the decision-making process happens, there is that weakness of stupid people. But I feel like that's kind of, it's not a DAO issue. It's a people issue. No matter what, there's always going to be that kind of problem. But there's also the fact that, people are greedy and self-serving, and, when you do have a system where it is the people who stand to benefit most by taking advantage of other people, are in control of the keys to the kingdom, as it were, then that's what you're going to tend to get more often than not, is that voting is going to have a heavy slant in that direction. And I think that is something that we are seeing here. Like, DECB was proposed by the whales, and it is not good for the economy, but it is good for the whales, and therefore it's...
Now, you say it's just not, do you have reasons to say it's not good for the economy, or is it just...
I have math and spreadsheets, and I have done the due diligence on it, and it's inflation. It is more inflation, and that is not what we need. It's disguised as a burn mechanic, but it's really an inflation mechanic, and it's smoke and mirrors on the tokenomics of DEC by introducing a secondary token. That is...
Well, it's not smoke and mirrors. It's very, I would say it's transparent. I mean, there's not any kind of
It's not though, because if someone
no
was coming
obfuscation.
into the game and looking at the tokenomics of DEC, they're missing out on 2 billion DEC that has to be dealt with before the flywheel could possibly be engaged.
So, what is happening here with the deck the batteries, right? The DECB is it's more of a bet on the future. What Splinterlands, the company, and many whales, and everybody everybody who voted for that proposal. Which, by the way, I actually did vote against it.
I saw that, and I was very happy to see that.
I did vote against it, but it's because of it is a gamble. The people who actually believe in it, though, it's not smoke and mirrors, as you say. I think that's a bad way to put it, because it's not really that. It's more of it's a futures kind of thing where they say there's going to be demand in the future for this, and that demand is going to far exceed the supply.
And
Right now we don't have this demand. So what we're going to do is artificially create the demand today, because in the future it will be needed.
and
It's a way of
go ahead.
it's a way so it's a way of honestly, without things are going to be better, but what it's doing right now is buying time. It's buying time, and it's just a way of it's kind of kicking the can down the road in a way of where yes, it is creating more inflation, but the way things are set up, the way things are going to be going with land once land is out, and things like that are happening, and other sinks that can't really be discussed. Once all that happens, there is not going to be enough DEC anywhere, even with all that inflation, to even handle that. And once that happens, then all heck is going to break loose, right? That's when the flywheel starts. That's when SPS is going to be having to be burned just to make DEC, just to keep up with the demand for the token.
And I get all of that, but what I'm saying is that there are ways to do that without creating another token, and that's why it's smoke and mirrors, because it's making it look like there's 2 billion less DEC than there actually is, because DECB is DEC. It might not be usable in every way that DEC is, but it has to be dealt with before that flywheel can be activated. And so for someone on the outside looking in, looking at the tokenomics of DEC and SPS and not knowing about DECB, then there's effectively a differential of the tokenomics of 2 billion DEC. And we all know that it's not going to stop there, because they didn't just leave that door open. They blew the door off the hinges and took 3/4 of the wall with it. That there is a gaping hole there through which more DECB is going to be coming. And also, as we were referring to with the tendency for a DAO to vote towards the benefit of those at the top, the biggest issue that I had with this proposal is how it is just left wide open for the DAO can vote at any time for any reason to create as much DECB as they want at any price and for any length of time. That is just ridiculous amount of power that is just left out there on the table to be abused. And
so you understand that this is so right now what you're saying is, I understand kind of where you're going. But you're kind of making an argument from ignorance rather than addressing the core thing. Because as it is right now, Splinterlands, the company, is the one who's had all this power to do all of this, and they've had that power. They've had the power to create and do all this stuff for this entire time. Now, what they've done is try to do everything in the best interest of the game and the community.
Exactly. Splinterlands has a vested interest in keeping Splinterlands, the game, going as well as possible, because that is their source of income. However, the whales have less of a vested interest in keeping the game going in the face of immediate profits. And thankfully, DECB is soul bound, But you notice that the original proposal, as put forth by the whales, it wasn't. That was community backlash that made that happen. And so thankfully, yes, us smaller players do still have a vote and can, affect the way things happen. But there is the point of, the top 200 players, the top 200 SPS accounts, that's over 40% of staked SPS. It would not take that much for, a significant group of whales to band together and force something through, no matter how much it goes against the community's wishes, no matter how much the rest of the community votes against it. That possibility is not only there, but it's high.
So what did you say? 20 accounts control the top
200 accounts control the top 40%.
Oh, 200 accounts. Okay. I thought you said 20. I was like, what?
No,
now,
it's not that centralized. Although it's also to the point where, if somebody came in with the correct amount of money, and we know that there are those Uber whales out there, and the big time scammers like SBF.
Are you talking about staked SPS, or are you talking about?
No, I'm talking about the fact that currently liquid SPS is roughly equal to staked SPS, which means if someone came in with a big enough wallet, they could literally have almost a 50% vote. It would not be cheap to do, but it is possible to do.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, anything's possible. If somebody wants to buy so much SPS that it drives the price like crazy, and everybody who's holding SPS goes crazy rich, and then they want to like vote for something that's going to tank SPS, then if they just made you crazy rich. You can sell your SPS, and then they can tank it and do whatever.
Except that you wouldn't be able to, because I mean, if it's like me, I don't have liquid SPS. I have staked SPS because I do believe in the future of the game, and I'm trying to maximize my voting capacity, especially when things like DECB hit the table. Like, I understand the way that it works, and I feel like I am not arguing from a point of ignorance. I am arguing, maybe incorrectly, but I do a lot of research. I dive deep on all of this stuff so that I can come to an informed conclusion. I'm not just, I know, and that is, I think, the other part of it is even people who are trying to, vote the best and whatnot, they who has time to actually research everything that is going on and come to that informed conclusion? Not very many people. Most people got jobs, 9 to 5s, they got families, they got kids, whatever. Everybody's got their own circumstances, and so not many people have the ability to look into things as deeply as I've been trying to recently, because everybody's got their own things going on in life, and that's part of why I am so happy to do that legwork and have this platform. Thank you again to be able to bring that information forth. And like I've said it many times, like I'm not telling anybody how to vote, but I will tell you how I'm voting and why, and try and give you the best information that I can. And I tell everybody, do your own research, come to your own conclusions, and don't listen to any one person. But that's the thing is that has to be said, because there are people out there that are just taking things at face value, not really thinking things through, and that's another part of the problem.
So one of the things that you kind of have to understand is like these decentralized stuff, like just trying to make an argument based on like fear, right? Fear of the unknown, right? People could make stupid decisions. This is something that's part of the decentralized kind of zeitgeist, this new way of understanding, is that yes, people can make stupid decisions, and what the problem is, it's this complex thing that we are trying to solve as humans. Where do we want one single entity making all the decisions for us? Or do we, as individuals, want to take the power back and make the decisions for ourselves? And this is, it's a little scary to understand that, there is there is things that can happen that can go wrong. But with these kinds of proposals, first of all, you got to understand that if a proposal gets made tomorrow by some, like, let's just say there's an inner sanctum of Wales that is going to decide kind of how to run things, and they have enough voting power to basically run things through. If they make a proposal tomorrow and then ram it through and get it passed immediately, it doesn't actually take effect immediately. This DAO isn't something that there's not like these smart contracts that just automatically trigger and then that money just automatically like creates this thing out of thin air. It still takes people, it takes time, it takes resources, planning, and all of that to implement any stuff, right? Like,
Yeah,
pretty
absolutely.
much. So even if they were to ram something through, you are still going to have plenty of time to not only power down all your SPS and sell it, but also probably get rid of any assets. Like if you think something's going to go through and just completely destroy the game, like you are going to have time to do that. Like it's there is going to be like just in the essence of or in like the very nature of these proposals and the very nature of how things work and how I mean if you watch this that link that I sent you, all the Hive proposals, like this is kind of how it just works. I mean, it's a person saying, hey, give me money and I'm going to make this happen, and then the DAO goes, okay, is this person trustworthy? Is this something that we want to do? Is this too much money that they're asking for? All of this kind of stuff is then weighed against, that proposal, and then they either vote yes or no, and it's the collection of people who say yes or no, which then in turn um, gets it passed. And then once it's passed, then the DAO starts paying out slowly. It's not a huge lump sum. Usually, it's like I want 30,000 HBD to do this. Okay, well, it's going to be paid out, a few hundred HBD per day over the course of 6 months. That would then equal 30,000 at the very end of that. So and then they get the money to like pay for server bills and developer costs or whatever they're doing, right? Um, to then implement that plan. So it's kind of a slow going process, and that's actually one of the downsides of the DAO is it's not like a very good like rapid response solution kind of thing to any kind of problems that could come up. But it is kind of a nice to have like infrastructure, keep things running, improve daily life kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So
and I mean, I'm not actually arguing against the DAO overall. I'm just I'm kind of trying to steel man Rogue's argument since I haven't managed to get him into the Discord yet. Like I am in favor of the DAO. I'm just also acknowledging that it still has problems, and one of those problems is it's very slanted towards those at the top. Um,
well, how else
as
would it be? Like how else would you design something that keeps the incentives aligned? Because I mean, here's the thing: if you go into anywhere, like let's just take Splinterlands out of the equation and just let's talk about blockchain X, and then you go to like look at Twitter and look at all the opinions about blockchain X, and then you go to the discords that surround and discuss blockchain X and look at all the opinions there. Now, all of those opinions are not equal. There's some really stupid opinions out there about blockchain X. All right. Now, do you think that those people should have as much say as, let's say, somebody who's invested like their entire savings into blockchain X just because they have an opinion? And I mean, obviously not, right? That would be stupid. You would want it to be more equitable. Like who has the biggest say is the people who have put in the most, who have invested the most into blockchain X. That makes the most sense. Now, is that a perfect solution? No, but it, the enemy of good is perfection, or is perfect, right? Like perfection is the enemy of good, is what I meant to say. That's whenever you try to achieve perfection and you can't do anything but perfection, then you will never be left with something that's good.
Yeah, because if you only strive for perfect and you don't take steps along the way, then you never move because perfect doesn't exist. I get that. And again, like, I'm not actually arguing against the DAO here. I'm just, pointing out problems because there are still ways to improve. Like, and obviously one person, one vote is not necessarily an answer either, because you've got, the vast majority of people are stupid, and you're gonna have people who are not doing their due diligence, are not necessarily thinking about what is best for the ecosystem, and don't have as much invested. So there's problems on that side of things as well. That's why one of the things that was done well with the founding of this country, the way that Congress is split between the Senate having 2 votes per state, and then the House of Representatives having a vote that is based on the number of people. So there is some way to combine that so that more everyone has a more equal vote, and yet is still slanted to and I'm not saying that I have all of the answers or whatnot, but like that is something that would kind of like if every, and obviously that I think would require voting to be locked behind KYC, which I'm not sure if I think that that's the best way to go either. And I know that many people would be vehemently against that, as we've already seen from any time that those 3 letters come up in any conversation. But
so this has actually been tried too. I don't know. You know who Dan Larimer is?
I know the name.
So he's the guy who created Steam, which then turned into Hive. He's the guy who created. He's actually created several blockchains now, and his newest venture is like trying to do that. And they actually try to do that with. Oh man, I am spacing right now on this last one. It was like Block One. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I have not.
EOS.
Yes.
Okay, EOS Block One is like the company that kind of manages or is like responsible for the development of EOS and stuff.
Okay.
EOS is it was created by Dan Larimer as well, and they tried to do some kind of a like social media on it, and they wanted to do KYC, and they wanted to have like one vote, one person kind of thing, and it went over like a lead balloon. And then he's tried to do something recently, he's been posting about it on Hive. So if you go to peakd.com/@Dan, that's his account, and he's doing this fractally thing. And if you look at like the comments on his posts, you can see like people like I am verifying my, like they want to do this fractal democracy where it's about like it's about this one person KYC to this one blockchain account kind of thing. And I understand where he's going with this, because he's trying to solve this problem. He's kind of trying to solve the same problem that you're talking about. And Dan is very, very smart. But one thing he just doesn't understand is kind of like how this stuff actually works out. Like he sits there and thinks about this stuff with like razor like just very sharp logic, but kind of misses the forest for the trees whenever it actually plays out in real life, because it's human interactions and human socialization is not like hard fast logic. It's it's feelings and kind of being in the moment type things, and he doesn't put that into his equations when he's designing this stuff. So it's really an interesting dichotomy to watch all of this play out in real time.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that there is no actual solution. There's just, steps and shades of gray, because no matter what, you're never going to get people to agree on what is best. I mean, everybody is going to have their own kind of version of what is best, and there's going to be, you know, shades of correctness and incorrectness to all of them. And it's like, you know, what is actual truth? Like, is there actually absolute truth? In most cases, in most scenarios, the answer is no. You know, everything kind of comes down to perspective and shades of gray. But there is also, you know, some semblance of, you know, yes, there is, you know, there a right answer, that everything is closer or farther from. So I understand that, you know, it's not an easy subject, and there's no, you know, no silver bullet, as it were. Just like, you know, with the bot issue, I understand, you know, I have been a big one who is, you know, kind of speaking out against the people who are saying, you know, ban all bots. Like, number one, we can't do that. Number two, it would be very bad for the game if we could do that. And number three, even if we did do that, it wouldn't work. Because, you know, look at all of the Web 2 games that, you know, bots are banned. They're still rampant. They still, you know, run the economy. Even though, you know, if you get caught doing, you know, XYZ, your accounts get banned. Well, they're still doing X, Y, and Z. Like, I get all of that. Yet at the same time, I understand where they're coming from, because, you know, bots are one of the biggest problems with the ecosystem. And, like, I get, you know, kind of all sides of that argument. I am not saying that I have an answer for every bit of it, but I do have some ideas for how to help. And I also see, you know, that the team is trying to do things that are going to help, and they all have their own set of issues associated with them, because there is no perfect answer.
Right. And honestly, there's only one problem I see with bots, and that is when they can have an advantage over human players. So, like, let's just say, you know, they can play relentlessly 24/7 and never take a break.
Yeah.
That's an advantage that bots have.
The algorithmic
also,
play is a definite advantage. The fact that they have a perfect team for any set.
Well, so that's another thing too, where you know, being able to pick a perfect team. Now, that's going to be one of the things that really needs. That's where all the focus of bots, like every bot discussion everywhere, needs to be, is how do you take away the advantage from these computers that can, like, use machine learning. They can programmatically, you know, solve, like, because that's what, like, what was that bot that did this? This was years and years ago, like decades ago. I think it was the IBM Watson that solved chess.
Yep.
Chess has trillions upon trillions of iterations. Like, it's an impressively complex game for how simple it is, and yet it's been completely solved.
Yeah,
And
Watson, and then Deep Blue, and then they Alpha Go, which, you know, Go is even more so. Like, it's you know, even a step above and beyond chess, and yet it's solved. Like, yeah, that's exactly the problem. Is, you know, that, yeah, there is a definitive advantage there, and yes, how do we eliminate that advantage? And the other part of the problem is, you know,
Well,
the extraction of value from the ecosystem. That's what's hurting the rest of us. So like,
extraction of value, that's not a bot problem. That's just any player. Any player can come, play, and sell, and there's literally nothing that can be done about that, whether it's a bot or a human, because this is a, like, I mean, I know some people like to say, well, this ain't very decentralized or whatever. Well, you know, there's some aspects of it, like the gameplay, like being able to submit teams and stuff, that is pretty centralized. You got to go through Splinterland servers to do that. You know, there's certain things about this game, the current proposals and stuff, pretty centralized right now, as it is, you know, as it stands today. You know, it's kind of been gatekept. I mean, even as in Splinterland's own blog, they say, you know, we want to move away from this because we are kind of the gatekeepers of these proposals right now. That is the whole thing. But as it is right now, though, like, you can literally do whatever, say whatever, even scam, and Splinterland's the company can't take away your assets. you own those assets. Like, I mean, you see this day after day. People get scammed in the Discord. They, like somebody stole, like, not somebody didn't steal it, I guess, because they would have to have access to their wallet. They they defrauded people, right? People get defrauded. Oh, hey, I'm such and such. Send me these cards, I'll give you money. And then, oh no, I'm not actually them. I'm some scammer from some unknown, place, and you just gave me all your cards. Thanks, bye bye.
Yeah.
And there's no repercussions for that, none, because there's nothing that can be done. They can't get those cards taken away from them. That's crypto. That is the decentralized nature of this, and it is decentralized in that way. Now I forgot why I got onto this whole thing. Shoot, I lost my train of thought. There was a point to all this.
Yeah, we were talking about the fact that extraction of value is not a bot thing; it's a player thing.
Yeah. So as far as it go, like there's really, I don't really like that kind of terminology. I don't think it's useful in trying to solve anything, because extracting value is what this game is about. It's about you. I mean, you play, you earn, and you can extract value. Now, what do you do with that value? You want to hold it? Do you want to sell it? You're extracting that value. Like, what do you want to do with it? That's up to you. That's the point of crypto. And as far as if it's a bot doing it or if it's a human doing it, it makes no difference. It's an account doing this. If the extraction is too much, where it's unsustainable, then something needs to be changed as far as like the reward structure.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Like, is the fact that it's so easy for those bot farms of tens of thousands of accounts to extract value. That's what I was getting at. Is that is the issue, that's what needs to be changed to. But I feel like soulbound reward cards is not the answer to that. I feel like
so less reward cards then.
No, honestly, like, I feel like the reward system that we have now is pretty good, but we've had the answer to that. We've been waiting on the answer to that, and that is the staking requirements to earn. All of the changes that have been made to the reward system in between to kind of nerf the bots. That's honestly doing more to hurt new players than it is to hurt the bots, and especially soulbound reward cards is just going to hurt SPS, because that results in the bots only having one way to extract value, and that is SPS, and therefore, like, it's also the bigger problem that I see with soulbound reward cards is that means that new players don't have access to them, and like. Can you imagine trying to build a deck and fight through without being able to get access to cards like Oceanus until you somehow miraculously pull one? I've still never pulled an Oceanus. Like, I've got a max copy because I bought it, because I recognize the power of that card, but I've never once actually opened an Oceanus out of a chest. So, yeah, that's a problem. Like, the reward cards should be accessible, they should be able to be sold, and they should be fairly cheap, because you're getting them for free. So, I don't have a problem with the fact that, they're ridiculously low price right now. That, to me, is not an actual issue. They should be, because you are earning them for free, and if you are extracting value off of that, then it shouldn't be hundreds of dollars per day in cards necessarily. But I do agree that there is an issue with the bot farms that are just basically running the starter cards and whatnot that don't have any value added to the ecosystem. Taking that value out. That, I agree, is a problem. I just, soulbound reward cards is not the answer to that. Staking requirements is. Like, the fact that, you're not earning on soulbound reward, you're not earning on starter cards. The card level requirements Like, those are the kinds of things that that actually helps with the problem. Soulbound reward cards causes more problems of its own, because now it makes it more difficult for people to get into the game. And the last thing we need to be doing is making it more difficult for new players, because we need new players. That is one of the big problems that we're running into. It is why bots are so important, to be able to, have a game where we can actually click the button and get a match within a minute or two. We have to have bots for that. We do not have enough players for 12 leagues. We're not even close. And so we need new players coming in, and to get new players coming in, they need to be able to have access to the cards. The fact that, some cards are prohibitively priced, but they're still available. Any player currently can come into the game and get any card in the game. As soon as that changes, that is a problem.
That sounds like a pretty easy fix, with just having a starter card for those soulbound cards.
But they're not going to be a starter card for them, because they're rewards cards. They're not in set.
It could be. It's like that's not written in stone yet.
And yeah, I mean, that would be an answer to that. If that's something that they institute, then all of a sudden I'm a lot more for that. But that is something that has not been mentioned, has not been addressed at all. They're just talking about soulbound reward cards so people can't sell them. Soulbound reward cards so people can't sell them. Soulbound reward cards so people can't sell them. The problem with that is, if you can't sell them, then you can't buy them.
Well, no, so that's not the reason why they're like. What they want is, you have to play this game in order to be competitive at this game. That's what they want. They want the players to be able to be that's kind of where the whole soulbound reward card kind of focuses.
And yes and no, because you have to play the game in order to earn them, but you don't have to play the game, you have to win the game, because you don't earn these cards if you're not winning. And so it's actually going to be giving the bots more of an advantage against the new players, because the bots are now going to have cards that they can play that new players cannot, because they can't get a copy of them until they start winning. And again, let's just one card, Oceanus. Every bot in Novice has Oceanus, and if you do not have Oceanus, then it is ridiculously more difficult to fight your way through Novice. Not only are you fighting against algorithmic teams that are better than you're also learning the game, and you don't know your way around all of the teams and the abilities that much. But now, one of the most powerful cards in the game, you simply literally do not have access to, and will never have access to until you make it out of Novice and into Bronze and start earning. Like, that is a problem to me. That is something that is absolutely going to hurt the acquisition of new players.
So, speaking about the new players thing, I have actually personally seen some really cool stuff. I can't really fill you in on the details.
I understand that.
But I've seen some pretty cool the demos of what they're doing for the new player experience. And I gotta say, I'm pretty excited about it. It's actually something they put down on the roadmaps, and I'm over here on Splinterlands TV, and a bit of the wider marketing kind of area of the Splinterlands company. So I'm not in on these product development meetings. I'm not in on the different road mapping stuff. I'm very far removed from all of that stuff. But just by happen chance, I was talking to somebody, and they kind of were showing off something else, and they had that new player experience thing, and I was like, oh hey, what is that? Let me see that. Oh, what happened there?
I'm just adding rolls to you.
Oh, I was like, what happened? What is that? And they showed me, and it was actually pretty exciting. They were way further along on kind of the planning of it than I thought they were initially. Now
that is good to hear.
But that it's still, I think, kind of prototyping. They might end up taking that, putting it out there, and then and going, oh, there's a lot of problems. We got to rework all of this, So I'm not saying like, oh, this is going to happen tomorrow or like, but I didn't really expect like them to be that. Like, it was more of like, oh, hey, we need to work on the new player experience, and then that's kind of where I was left at, and I didn't really realize that no, they actually are, pretty far along. At least, they've been doing a lot of work on it. Like that's a good way of putting it.
And yeah, that's good to hear because especially like it's something that the community has been asking for a long time. It's something that I personally have been talking about for well, basically ever since I started streaming and got a platform, and especially since you brought me onto the team. Um, like yeah, new player experience is definitely something that deserves a significant amount of attention because new player experience currently is abysmal. So I'm glad to finally see it actually on the roadmap. Like we were looking through that to begin the stream today, and to hear from you that there's been some significant work done on that already. I'm very happy to hear that.
But yeah, identifying the issues with the new player experience is going to be one of the hardest parts. Like there's some easy stuff. Like this is a very complicated game and a very complicated ecosystem, and you think, oh, you just pick 6 cards and go, but no, you got how many different abilities are there? How many different different strategies and different things for every different rule set and all of that? Like it starts to
Yeah.
get very very complex very quickly, and you gotta realize that before you know making any kind of fruitful foray into um, into a new player experience.
Chat is popping off, so I want to take a moment to go ahead and address some things. Elephantium said, isn't DECB creating DECs from voucher, basically? Yes, that's another one of the problems that I had with it. And Bordell said, yeah, smart money in Wales will definitely use vouchers rather than DEC to burn, taking into consideration that more than 50% of all staked SPS doesn't vote at all, so the top 200 may have way bigger power than we think. And then Daru has been talking a lot. Of course, it can be solved. Reduce earnings if you extract value from the game. Other games are doing it now. If you extract during X days, you earn less. NFT first. Totally agree that anyone can do anything with their assets. Could eventually limit players to play only one reward card per match. I don't think that is a good way to go either. Boot tops, that's the purpose of the 3K credits, to help you get cards when you first start out. But if you can't buy the cards, then that doesn't help. Daru, that's the third different justification for soulbound reward cards that I hear. From Matt, it was not to kill the buzz of getting the reward cards. From the community, it's to fight bots. Not you have to play the game to be competitive. The devil's in the details for any supposed improvement. I mean, yeah, the devil's in the details for any improvement. And every possible solution is going to have its own set of drawbacks, and there are also many roads that get you to the same place. So yeah, there are a number of reasons for soulbound reward cards, and so you're going to hear many many good kind of arguments in favor of. You're also going to hear many good arguments against. I'm not saying that it's an idea without merit. I like the idea of soulbound cards because yes, that does give humans an advantage over bots potentially if it's done right. I'm not in favor of replacing the current reward cards with soulbound reward cards. Like, I know that it's already a done deal. It's too late. That's where we're going. But I still feel it's worth stating that that is problematic because of the reasons that I have already mentioned. If we did like something along the lines of anything soulbound, for it to be a way for humans to gain an advantage over bots, should be behind KYC, because otherwise the bots have it too. And when the bots have it too, then that is an issue where now it's giving them a further advantage over the new players that can't get it. So that's kind of where I'm coming from on that whole the soulbound reward cards. Like I like the idea of the soulbound cards. I just don't think that replacing our current reward cards with them is going to be a net positive. I feel like that is going to cause more problems than it actually solves.
You know, I guess there's going to be a lot to be seen. I'm not quite sure where this is going to be, ultimately decided. I think it's a good first step. I think that's where we really need to, I don't know. I was a very adamant against the soulbound reward cards at the very beginning. After it was explained, then I thought about it and kind of saw how it's working with guilds, right? So right now in your guild, you have to play brawls in order to get the merits, to get the packs, to get your gladiator cards. There's no other way of getting them. I can't buy them off you. I can't rent them from the market. I can't do any of that.
That's
I have
not
to
true.
play. Well, how do you get it? Because I would like to get some.
You get merits from ranked battle now.
Oh yeah, well that's true. Yeah, so now rank, but I mean you still have to play the game to get those.
Yeah, but you don't even have to be in a guild. So literally that is, for those who are not in a guild, and I'm not in favor of not being in a guild, but that is literally something that is potentially not usable. Because if you're not in a guild, then merits are literally, it's nothing. Because you can't do anything with it. You can't even buy the crates to open the cards to burn them for DEC, because if you're not in a guild, you don't have a guild store. Like, it is literally, you cannot do anything with those merits unless you are in a guild. So, like, and I'm not saying that that's necessarily a problem either. It does incentivize guild play, which is a good thing, but it's something that is there. Like, some people just want to play the game and have fun. They don't want to get involved in a guild. They don't want to do brawls. And so it's literally, it's nothing for them. It's not even, it's not even credits.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's just part of the part of the rewards, though. And yeah, you're right that you can get them in season chests and reward chests and all that. And I'm really happy when I see them, because I personally, my gladiator cards are kind of abysmal.
Yeah, no, I think I'm in the same boat. Like, I don't mind seeing merits. I'm not upset about them being there because I am in a guild and I do take part in brawls. At least, not this season because I have no cards. I haven't been playing at all. But Daru does raise a good point there, though. That, like, some don't like having to depend on RNG to get the cards, and for something like, like the gladiators, like, it does make sense. That's a special subset of cards that are only usable in one place. But then with the issuance of Gladius tournaments and now a gladiator summoner and potentially a gladiator rule set, now it does start to become problematic for ranked play, for tournaments, because it's something where these are cards that you don't have access to unless you pull them. And yeah, it's a small subset of cards, but now that we're also adding that in on the rewards cards thing, and like I said, I mean, I've been here for a year and a half. I have pulled 6 legendary cards from rewards boxes. That means even if they were all the same, I still would not be able to max out a single legendary reward card. And they're not all the same. And, the issue was brought up, could there be a way added to, kind of pick what reward card you're going to get so that you can focus on maxing something out? And the answer was no. So, like, that's it absolutely, especially when you can't effectively, not only can you not effectively play these cards at the highest levels until you have them maxed out, you're also hurting yourself if you do play them without them being maxed out. Like, all of these are kind of decent steps that I didn't really have a problem with individually, but the way that they're combining is absolutely hurting players, because like nobody is going to be able to play their rewards cards at their level that they're playing at, from gold forward, without losing rewards in the process until they've already been out for however long. That's a problem. Like, the point of rewards cards is that you can play them. And if it's going to cost you rewards to play your rewards, that's very unrewarding.
I don't know. I'm actually not quite sure. I can't comment on that. Yeah. Trying to catch up a chat here too and read some of this stuff. It doesn't make sense to gatekeep cards that are RNG dependent to get. I think that the point that you brought up earlier, Rick, about the like the new player experience and not being able to get that, not having the card to win the matches to be able to get the RNG to finally get the card. That is kind of a problem, and I think that having a soulbound card would fix that problem. And maybe they do it like they do now with the soulbound cards, where you don't have the legendaries or whatever, but you get the other ones. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. Actually, I think that should be revisited. That was made at a time where your starter cards were. I messed up and said soulbound when I meant starter cards. Your starter cards used to be able to earn rewards. So if you used a starter card in your game, then it was it was earning you rewards. So they made it to where starter cards were only like the lower level stuff.
Yeah.
I think that maybe they should revisit that and allow you to have like all the cards, at least of that certain, of the newest set, right? And you don't earn any rewards for it, but you get to play with them and you get to experience them and you get to use them in your matches. And like you let you have at least one of every card available to you at the lowest level. And then if those are doing good for you, then maybe you should probably buy that card or whatever to then level it up. I think that actually is something that
I like that. That's a line of thought that I had not actually gone down myself, but I mean, yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I mean, obviously just commons and rares and only from the major sets, not the mini sets, not the rewards and whatnot. That makes sense when they were earning rewards. Now that they're not, it would make sense to have them, all of the cards available. And, maybe not all of them. Maybe, you don't include the promo cards. You keep those as promotional, so you have to own them in order to play them. And honestly, I feel like that is where, Soulbound could come in and be good. But, if we're going to do the rewards cards, at least, have a starter version available. That makes a lot of sense, and it does solve a lot of problems with it. I'm just saying, like, this, there's a lot of issues with things that are being put out, and I feel like a lot of things are being put out kind of hurriedly. Trying to address problems without really plumbing the depths of the new problems that would be created. And I feel like, a lot of the things that are being kind of pushed out are things that could wait until more important things are done. Like, I know that there's a lot of work to be done on land, but if land is the thing that is going to fix the economy, then there's a lot of things that can be shelved until after land is done. And that way, I understand that there's, a bunch of different teams that can work on a bunch of different things, but there's so many different things that have to be done for land that anything that doesn't need to be done before land could be shelved until after we have land. Like, get the thing out that is going to fix the economy first, that we've already been waiting on for more than 2 years, before we continue doing all of these things that are unnecessary, that are just nice. And I mean, I'm not against quality of life improvements, but I am against, continuing to delay on something that we've already been waiting for more than 2 years on that should have. I mean, there's no reason that land shouldn't have been done last year. Like it was started on late, and it's there's so many things that are unnecessary that are being pushed out ahead of land that that's really where the focus needs to be. If that's what's going to fix the economy, and I do believe that, because what we need is a consistent and continuous DEC burn. We don't need mechanics to burn a bunch and cause further inflation. That's not helpful. That's a temporary make it look better than it actually is metric. What we need is ongoing consistent burn mechanisms, and honestly, like, even if it wasn't land, like just applying a 1% burn to all transactions that are happening over the Splinterlands market, and it wouldn't even have to cost the team anything. Add an additional 1% onto those transactions and burn it. All of a sudden, we're going to see a whole lot more DEC disappearing from the economy, and that's the kind of thing that we need to do to engage the flywheel. We need consistent destruction of DEC, not just moving it around with every transaction. We need to see some being taken from every transaction.
Well, I'm trying to think right now. There is quite a few different things that are taking a lot of DEC out. Now, it's not been enough, but there are, just basically everything you do in a guild, for instance, whether it's, the 4 different buildings you can upgrade, creating the guild to begin with, every bit of that is all burnt.
But it's also, it is burnt, but it's not a consistent thing. It's all of those are one-time fees, and they're relatively insignificant, because even to, you're talking about a couple 100,000 DEC at the highest levels. We're talking about 6.25 billion DEC that we have circulating. So that's, it's not enough, and they're one-time things. They're not consistent. That's why I'm saying, like, every transaction needs to have that tax on it. And like Daru is saying, stop gladiator card burning for DEC and whatnot. There have been arguments to stop rewards cards burning and to stop the leaderboard payouts in DEC, and all of these things. I'm not necessarily saying that those can't be addressed, but those are not the problem. It's a drop in the bucket.
Potatoes. Even if you even look at all the leaderboard payouts for like the past year's worth of seasons, very small potatoes compared to the 6.25 billion DEC that's out there.
Exactly. Like, leaderboard payouts are less than 0.25% of our currently existing circulation per month. So, like, I'm not saying that we can't make that change. I'm just saying that's it doesn't need to be a focus. That's not actually a problem. It over time, years and years and years, yeah, but it'll take over 2 years worth of leaderboard rewards to match the 400 million that is created by the best case scenario of DECB. If all DEC was burned and 0 vouchers were burned, 400 million would be added, and that's well over 2 years worth of leaderboard rewards. Leaderboard rewards is not the problem. And yeah, Daru, cut everything off that is bleeding, even if it's just a little. I'm not arguing against that. I'm just saying, like,
focus on the main bleeds first.
Exactly. Exactly. And focus. That's
shooting out before you worry about the paper cut on the finger.
Focus on cauterizing. Focus on burning. Like, we can deal with more DEC being created as long as more DEC is being destroyed. Like, if we have that 1% burn on every trade, then it really doesn't matter if cards are soulbound or not, because DEC is getting burned when they trade hands. And it doesn't matter if DEC is being created on the leaderboards or from burning cards, because it's being consistently burned through every trade. Because, I mean, we have, 100,000 trades a day on average, roughly? I mean, I know Jarvy's got the exact numbers, and I know that they exist and I could find them, but I don't know offhand where they're at. But I know that it's a lot. Like, how many friends have I suggested to enter Splinterlands? I am constantly hounding all of my friends to play Splinterlands, to the point where I have lost some friends over it.
um, I actually kind of like that Daru that point that Daru brought up though about burning gladiator cards to get merits instead of DEC. I think that's actually kind of an interesting thing I've never thought of. And
Yeah, I never thought of that either, and I don't have a problem with that. I'm not saying that that's a bad idea for gladiator cards specifically. I'm just saying that, like, when you brought it up, it brought up in my mind the whole argument that has been put forth by the community that, oh, we need to stop the ability to burn cards for DEC. No, that's part of, if you want to burn cards for DEC, go for it. That's destruction of the card supply, which is good for all of us. And the amount of DEC that you're getting out of those cards is pitiful. So it's not an actual, like, source of DEC. I mean, you burn a gold foil maxed out legendary reward card, you're getting 52,500 DEC from it. That is not a big amount of DEC. That's, for an individual player that's might be decent. It's enough to get a few packs, but I mean that's for a maxed out gold foil legendary. Like that is or 4 copies of the rarest cards in existence. So yeah, go ahead and burn that. I don't care. It doesn't bother me one bit. Like I that's perfectly fine as a tiny faucet for DEC. For gladiator cards, making it merits instead of DEC, yeah, that makes sense. I wouldn't argue against that either. But yeah, and NFT first, if I want to exit the game, what will I do with merits? Nothing. You're not supposed to. But that is why I feel like merits should not have been added to ranked play, because that merits are a guild thing. And so when it was, the only way you get these awesome, ridiculously powerful gladiator cards is through guild battling, that made sense because the only place you can use them is guild battling. That made sense. When Grum was introduced, I was like, oh, okay, well, adding Bloodlust to ranked play is a mistake. And don't get me wrong, I take full advantage of Grum in ranked play. I take full advantage of Jared Scar in ranked play. That's still a mistake. Bloodlust should never have been added to ranked play. It should have been in guilds, that is your reward for being in guilds. Not even before SPS from brawls and whatnot, you just got to play with this really cool super OP ability that does not exist elsewhere in the game. And so adding that into the regular game kind of took away that cachet from being in a guild. And, no matter what, there's going to be some people that don't want to be in guilds and whatnot. And that's another reason why merits should not be part of ranked play. And something that is supposed to be guild specific should be guild specific. It should not be in ranked play. It should not be in tournaments. There shouldn't be a summoner for it. And, I mean, now that that's all happened, am I excited for Conscript and the ability to play gladiators in ranked? Yeah, I mean, that floodgate's already been opened, but would I prefer that it had never been opened to begin with? Yeah, Bloodlust should have stayed guild only, and then I think that guilds would be in a better place for it, because that's something that is going to appeal to the gamers, the ones that are actually here for the game, because it's not an investment thing. It's not, a return on thing. It's not extracting value. It's something that is there specifically to appeal to the community members and the gamers, and that's what we need. We're like, that's one of the things that I've heard Aggie say that I agree with fundamentally is we don't need to be appealing to people who are here for a return on their investment. We need to be appealing to people who are here because this is a magnificent game. It is fun to play. The depth of strategy is amazing, and we're here for the game. That is what it's all about. And that is the fundamental flaw with, taking a guild-specific thing and making it not guild-specific.
Well, listen, Rick, I want to thank you for having me on. I'm going to have to head out, though. I appreciate you having me here.
I appreciate you joining. It has been an awesome discussion, and I'm very glad to actually have you on. I know that most of my time slots don't really work so well for your hours, but thankfully,
Yeah.
and
Well, and
hopefully,
usually I'm not up at this time, like not up and like ready to discuss at this time. But um, yeah, like today just happened to be one of those days where I did get up and was up and ready. So thanks for having me on, and I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you being a voice for the community, and I love your passion for the game.
thank you, sir.
But you have a great day, and I'll be talking to you soon.
You as well. Enjoy. And what's good, Canada? How are you doing? Yeah, so I agree that merits and gladiator cards are not rewards in the typical sense. I mean, the ranked play, they shouldn't be there, but they are, and I mean, I guess that could still be fixed. They could be removed from the prize pools. And I think that adding merits in was actually another one of those kind of unnecessary steps against the bot farms, because the bot farms naturally are not in guilds, and therefore, giving them something that they can't use. But again, that also hurts, some real players, not just the bots, because there are also players who aren't interested in that type of application. And I mean, those players exist in any game that is multiplayer. There are people who just want to enjoy the game without taking part in anything further with the community and whatnot. Some people are antisocial, and even though it is fundamentally a PvP game, there's people who, it's the difference between, just auto battling against your opponent. You fundamentally don't even recognize that there's an opponent there. Sorry to say, but I'm not suggesting Splinterlands to my friends anymore. I'm sorry to hear that as well. I still I'm not saying that the game is without problems, but the fundamental aspect of the game that keeps me coming back is the gameplay. I love the complexity of, choosing your. I love the way the game works. The whole rule sets and mana caps, and you've got the cards that you can play, and you play them. I'm not here because of the rewards. The rewards are awesome, and I love to earn on my playing, but I am here because I love the game. I love the gameplay, and that gameplay is still awesome, and so I'm still pushing that to my friends. I've never been telling my friends, oh, you should come play Splinterlands, you're gonna make hundreds or thousands of dollars. No, I have been telling my friends that you should come check out Splinterlands because it's an awesome game, especially if you like something like Magic the Gathering and whatnot. And I mean, a big part of my problem with Magic, with like any form of online Magic, is that you don't own your cards. So like I've had friends that play Magic Online for years, and then they leave the game for whatever reason, or get banned, or their account gets hacked or whatever, and they've lost everything, and they have put in hundreds or thousands of dollars over time, and they have nothing to show for it. That is one of the things that drew me to Splinterlands, and that is the reason why I never played any online Magic other than deck testing on like tappedout.net. I would, but like any form of actual online Magic I never got into because you don't own your cards. And my problem with paper Magic is I never get the opportunity to play because who's got the time anymore. That's what I love about Splinterlands is the gameplay, and the fact that at any time I can just log on and you got 5 minutes to kill, you got time for a match of Splinterlands. It's one of the things that brought me into Splinterlands versus some of the other Web3 card games that are out there, because they take longer to play. And I mean, that's good when you're looking for that style of gameplay, but for busy on the go, Splinterlands is definitely better because you can play that, load up the game, get a match going, put your team in, see how the battle goes, and then be done in 5 minutes or less. And that is it's amazing. And that's one of the things that I love about the game, and also the complexity of the multiple rule sets, the mana caps, the splinters that may or may not be available. Like, that is what I'm here for. That's what I love. The rewards are just the icing on the cake, and so and then that's what really brought me in, and then the community, as I have grown to become a part of it. Is also amazing, and like I don't ever want to sound like I'm poo-pooing on the whales or on the community as a whole, just like by rote. No, I will point out issues. I will call some things out, but I'm still I believe in this community. I believe in this team, and I believe in the future of this game. But that's why I'm so passionate about calling out things like DEC that I see as a misstep, because there are situations that are not conducive to the future of the game, and so I'm here and I'm not going anywhere. I love this game. I love the gameplay. I love the community, and I have a lot of respect for the team, and I feel like overall they are. Matt and Nagy are taking us in the right direction, and they're doing a lot of good things. And I know sometimes it sounds like I'm just, calling things out and whatnot, or I'm super bearish, anything like that. And that it's not the case. Like I'm just stating the things that I see as the way to improve things. Like I'm not trying to just neg all over everything. I'm trying to point out ways that things could be improved, and that's really the basis of where I come from on everything. Let me catch up on chat. I still enjoy Splinterlands, however, I wouldn't suggest it to make life-changing money. I love the community and gaming with you guys. That's why there are days between work, but Splinterlands daily. Yep, I agree with you on all of that. Just not mentioning that other game, Canada. Daru, well, I still suggest Splinterlands, but for the gameplay. Exactly, Daru. NFT first, game is nice, but not for the money I have invested. I still believe in Splinterlands, but I don't know how long I will play. Some of my friends have stopped playing. Yep, that's understandable. Bajok, to level cards is just too dang expensive. Real quick, especially to those that don't have FU money. Yeah, that's also, I mean, that's how games are. Like, if you want to be, super competitive, then it's going to cost you. That's, how it is. And that's not just here. That's really any kind of game that, relies on collectibles. I mean, that's exactly why I, in Magic, I started moving from, standard into modern, because, yeah, it's a more expensive deck to build, but, standard is a whole lot more expensive to keep up with, and that's why, modern versus wild, I kind of have the same attitude. I was a wild player from the get-go with the split until I sold all my cards into SPS, and then, switched over to modern, but I'm still more of a wild player at heart. I like the non-rotating formats. That I want to get back to playing in wild. Do we know anything about the season rating points change for Q1? No, Dalai Lama, I definitely do not. That's something that we were looking over the roadmap earlier, and I'm kind of intrigued to see what that's going to be, because, yeah, in Q2, they're changing the leagues to being SPS staking based instead of card power based. So that's but actually, I don't think that was. I'm assuming that you're referring to this here. Quarter 1 ranked battle league rating point changes. So that might actually be in relation to the problems that some have mentioned about how you're usually getting something like 10 to 20 rating points per win and losing like 30 to 40 when you lose. that could be an issue. Of course, there's also, the ratings inflation side of things because of the win streaks and whatnot. I don't know. I don't know any details regarding this. This roadmap is the first time that I've really seen anything about it. It was not addressed in the town halls or anything like that recently. Unlike most of this has actually been talked about. But yeah, that one is kind of a looming question mark. Hopefully we will learn more about it on Monday with the new town hall. Yeah, right. That would also change a lot in the economy. I think that's intent to stain SPS parity with DEC. SPS is not supposed to have parity with DEC. DEC is supposed to be pegged, par value, because it's not a hard peg, but the par value of DEC is supposed to be maintained at $1 for 1,000 DEC, so a tenth of a penny each. SPS is actually supposed to be a growth asset that is going to improve in price over time, in addition to being the governance asset. Like, that is how these things are supposed to work. SPS is supposed to gain in value over time as the flywheel works, because now that there is very little DEC being created, aside, of course, from the massive inflation that is DECB, the only way to get any significant amount of DEC is supposed to be through burning SPS. Unfortunately, we have 6.25 billion DEC that we need to burn through before that starts to happen, and that's why I've been saying that we need to have continuous DEC burning by means of transactional fees that are getting burned. So we're making some steps in the right direction with the 100,000 DEC burning to make a proposal through the land, the buildings and whatnot, the guild alliance buildings, etc., etc. So I'm glad to see that there are more ways to burn DEC coming in the future, and in the near future, in fact, but these are not going to solve the problem because they're all one-time fees. Granted, it'll burn a lot of DEC, but it only burns it once. What we need are transactional burns. So whenever things are moved around, there needs to be burns associated with that, and they can be small and almost insignificant on a one-to-one basis, but the number of transactions that happen in this game would cause those to be a significant destruction of DEC, and that is what we need in order to engage that flywheel. All of this one-time burn things are going to help, but they're not going to actually get us where we need to be. And this DECB malarkey, for lack of a better word that I can say on a family-friendly channel, is and it's an inflation mechanic disguised as a burn mechanic. It is a step in the wrong direction, and I will continue to drive that point home because it's not good, and it is going to continue to be an issue because it is going to be put forth again and again and again now that door has been open and in fact removed, and there's not even a frame anymore. It's just a gigantic hole in the wall, and that is going to be one of the major problems that we are going to have to overcome moving forward. So yeah, SPS is already a limit for certain tournaments. That framework is already there. There's no reason why that should not have been introduced as a requirement when SPS was introduced as a reward. Like, that was a missed opportunity, and that is one of those mistakes that has put us in the position that we're in now. That would have solved the problem with the bot farms extracting value without adding anything before we even put in the ghost card limit or the card level limit. Like, all of these things, there are a number of changes that would have been relegated unnecessary by just putting that one in place in the beginning, and it should have just been done then, because it was already part of the white paper. It was already, before there was an SPS airdrop, we were told that there was going to be an SPS requirement to earn rewards. So the fact that it is finally coming now is a good thing, but the fact that it's taken until now is a definitive negative. But it is the end of my stream, so enjoy Kraken Jr. Thank you very much for joining. As always, I've been Rick, you've been on the mountain, and it has been a wonderful time. And I will see y'all again tonight. I will be on my own stream here in about 14 hours. Rick on the Mountain, YouTube, Rick on the Mountain. And in the meanwhile, thank you so much. Have a great night.